The transformative influence of AI on businesses has the power to reshape organizational landscapes. Senior leaders today need to embrace its accelerated development and implement strategies for fostering a culture of AI adoption and innovation within teams. I'm Leandro Perez, Senior Vice President and CMO of Asia Pacific at Salesforce, and I'm excited to be hosting another episode of Executive Conversations, where senior executives and thought leaders from around the world join me to exchange their valuable insights and perspectives. We've already had many incredible conversations. If you've missed an episode, you can catch up on sfdc.co/conversations. Today, I'm coming to you from our brand new offices in Salesforce Tower, Sydney, and I'm joined by Rudi Khoury, Chief Digital Officer at Fisher Paykel Appliances. Rudi is responsible for accelerating Fisher Paykel's understanding and adoption of technological advances, leading to a business unit dedicated to driving their end-to-end digital transformation forward. Prior to this, Rudi was Executive Vice President of Marketing and Digital Transformation, and throughout his career at Fisher Paykel Appliances has held a variety of senior leadership roles, including as Regional CFO of Australia, General Manager of Customer Experience, and General Manager of Sales Operations. Welcome, Rudi.
Thank you for having me. Awesome to be here in the new offices too.
Pleasure to have you. I know you've joined us and traveling from Brisbane, which is where you're based right now, but previously New Zealand.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Love it. Well, good to have you here in country. We love to start this off with a few rapid fire questions just to get the juices flowing. Is that okay with you?
Let's go.
All right. I'm going to take you way back to when you were a kid. What did you aspire to be?
You know, that's a really interesting question because you'd probably not expect the answer. You know, when I was a child, I'm surrounded by entrepreneurs. All my family had their own business. I didn't really know at that point. But when I left school, I wanted to be in medicine, become a doctor.
Wow.
Actually started off doing science, a health science degree. And then towards the end of kind of the first 3 years of that, I realized I really love business. I love commerce. I love technology, and pivoted into that area. I'm glad I did, actually.
No, I love that. I'll need to learn about these entrepreneurial parents and in the future. Now, we know you're in technology now, but was there a technology growing up that really caught your eye?
Do you know what? I can pinpoint the moment when technology became a passion of mine. You know, one of my uncles bought me a computer when I was about 11 or 12 years old. It was one of those all-in-one compact Presario machines.
Oh, yes.
Got that and just started tinkering at a really, really young age with computers and technology, software, hardware, pulled the thing apart a few times, built new ones over the years. And that's really the moment that got me passionate about technology.
Love it. That was before the internet, before AI, before all these things.
All of that. That's right.
I'm sure your kids love that story. Now, fast forward to today. You've been at Fisher Paykel for a long time. Do you have a favorite product? Is there one thing that you're very proud of?
I really love all our products, to be honest with you. And if you come to my house, you'll see Fisher Paykel ovens, a dish drawer, a very famous dish drawer.
I think I've seen that one, the double.
You've got some in your Salesforce offices around the world. I couldn't pick one, but I really like them all, and really major brand in our household, that's for sure. And before I worked there as well. Always loved the brand.
It's like a good parent there. You're making sure you're no favorites among the children.
Exactly.
I love that. Well, look, over the last 10 years, Fisher Paykel has been on a journey to transform and provide great customer experience. Luxurious products, right, is kind of the look and feel that you go for. As Chief Digital Officer, you've been leading that charge in digitization. Tell me a little bit about your team, your role, and then we'll move into the transformation that you've led.
Absolutely. I look after end-to-end digital transformation, which includes things like IT, what companies would traditionally call IT, but also our customer-facing stack, things like web, CRM, apps, IoT as well, and leading the software around IoT in our organisation.
So tell me then, the team that you put around that, are they technologists? Are they business analysts? Tell us a little bit about that.
A combination of all of those things. Definitely you need people who can deliver, do the work, so definitely a lot of technologists in the team, but also you need to to bridge the gap between the ideas and building the technology. And so, the people that do that, like the analysts.
And the vision down to execution.
That's right, yeah.
Love that. So tell us a little bit about the transformation you've led. You've been at the company and you've had various roles. Take us back to some of those early journeys. I think we've shared some of those stories over the years, but for the public here.
Yeah, one of the first ones that I was fortunate enough to be a part of and to lead was transformation in customer service. Now, customer service is not just technology. It's really a people and service design game, and actually the people is the most important part of service. At the end of the day, your customer is going to interact with a human at some point, and actually that's one of the most important connections. But technology plays a really important part in a couple of areas, and this is the part of the work that we did early on with Salesforce actually was you need to have the right tools for your employees. You need to make their experience good so that they can deliver a good customer experience. Then at the same time, customers' expectations have changed. The appization of the world because of iPhone and Android phones mean that customers expect digital tools and they expect self-service. They expect to be able to do things themselves where it makes sense. And then of course they want the human or the person at the other end from the brand when it gets more complicated. And so that was my first kind of transformation project at Fisher Paykel, and where I first ran into Salesforce, of course.
And to tell me that thinking, obviously change, and we're in a lot of change happening right now, but if you can think back, what was the catalyst there? Was that you driving it? Was it your C-suite, your CEO showing the way? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Look, as an organisation, customers are one of the most important things, and we just naturally customer-centric. We built our business over decades by caring about our customer and thinking about how customers want to experience us as a brand. And one thing that's really interesting about our company, we talk about transformation. That word gets used a lot. One thing that I love about Fisher Paykel is they're always thinking about how to do things better for the customer, how to think ahead, what does the customer need. And that really drives initiatives like doing better customer service. And we all know that we want to do better. And we think of customer experience end to end, from right at the start, early stages of marketing all the way through to post sales. And it's about doing the right amount of work throughout the whole journey. And at that particular time, we knew we wanted to do more and we wanted to do better in customer service, and that's what kicked it off. Absolutely support all the way from the top, because like I said, customer centricity built into our culture. Now, we might not have a slogan like other organisations about customer centricity, but it's absolutely built into the DNA of the company, and that's what's different.
Love that. Now, whether it was some of those early use cases or now, I know we've got lots of interesting examples of how we've worked together. Is there a few that you're comfortable sharing that maybe aren't so new, that they're still behind the cupboard, so to speak?
What's really interesting is it's the sum of all the little things you do for your customer that can feel big. Small things like proactive notifications, constant communication, transparency around what you're going to do through those communications is so important. Little things like providing like an Uber-style track and trace for deliveries and for in-home service. That was something that we worked on together back in 2014. And still quite innovative today. Companies still not providing that level of transparency. So that's one example. Another example is our website built on Commerce Cloud and the amazing experience we're providing to our end customers, to our partners as well. Because we've got the right tools, we can deliver an experience that you can only dream of sometimes. So the technology made that easy for us.
I love that. And you've got a global business. Maybe you can talk a little bit about how those use cases interact. Are they APAC or Asia, examples? Are they US examples?
No, you're absolutely right. Worldwide. So from Australia, New Zealand through the US, Canada, Singapore, UK, really broad set around the world. Yeah.
Any differences between the requirements of the customer in some parts of the world versus here?
A little bit. There definitely is nuances. But broadly speaking, customers expect the same thing from organisations, which is delivering great services and experiences. And as other businesses globalise experiences, it becomes normal everywhere. So everyone knows what an app store is and how that works. Everyone knows what it's like to order a taxi now with apps like Uber or Didi or whatever it might be. Those experiences become normalized globally over time.
And the bar is set.
And the bar is set, and it shifts up, and everyone's going to keep up. And sometimes you get to raise that bar, and other times you're chasing the bar.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. So look, we're obviously in a moment now where AI is the buzzword, and I know we've been talking about that. We recently had a dinner where we were talking about that. Where is Fisher Paykel? Where is the mindset, and where's your personal view at the moment?
Look, it's no secret that this could impact every part of every business, in my opinion. I sit back and I think, where could this not impact a business? And I can't really think of one.
Wow.
I mean, from sales, service is a really obvious one. That's the one I think that's going to get transformed first. But marketing, marketing's been using machine learning and AI longer than any other place, right? Like personalization, prediction, models, machine learning and AI models in advertising suites as well. Even places like accounting and law. I mean, there's already law GPT that's being used around the world. And I really can't think of a place where it can't add value. And I'm more positive. I know people are worried about it, but I think we'll figure it out. And I'm more positive about what it means for business, but also what it means for customers as well, and what we could do for our customers.
So how are you thinking about it internally? Are you driving it?
Yeah.
Is the CEO or the C-suite driving it
Yep.
as well? Tell me a little bit about
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
it's working.
So a little bit of course, our CEO's thinking about the future and how this is going to impact our business. The rest of the executive team is as well, and of course, I am spending a lot of time thinking about it. But back to your question, we're experimenting, we're proof of concepting, we're building, we're trying, and it's not just happening at the C-suite. We're getting from people in my teams, for example, going, "Hey, I've thought of this idea. I'd really like to try this. What do you think?" And we go and experiment. And I think you really need to experiment because we are still in the early days. It might feel like we're right up the exponential curve, but we're not. We have multiple generations of this technology to come, and whether you productionize something and put it in front of a customer or an employee, that doesn't matter right now. But if you're not learning about it, if you're not experimenting, you should be, because there's a lot to be gained out of just learning. And I'll give you an example where we built something recently, like an internal GPT for ourselves, and it wasn't that great. So we retired it, but we learned a lot. We learned about the technology, how to configure it, how to tune it, how to build it, and now we take that knowledge and experience for the next thing that we're going to do.
And I know you were also talking about pilots and initiatives. There's a couple of areas we're working on together. Yeah. Is there any you would like to share with the audience here?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, in the service space, because that's one that's really easy, relatable, but doing a little bit of work in chatbots and using GPT to help make our chatbots better. Now, not necessarily with the interaction with the customer, but making the natural language processing better. So, and making the execution of those chatbots simpler. That's one area. The other area is in field service, doing a number of pilots around how can we make our field service team better by summarizing information for them on the fly. How do we wrap up jobs using generative AI as well. And a number of different areas that we're going to pick up in the new year. For example, knowledge. Our knowledge base is sitting in Service Cloud. So how do we use GPT to surface that information, and only the information in that knowledge base to our customers and to our employees?
Yeah, and I think that's a vital point at the end there. I just want to unpack it for folks that don't maybe fully understand the difference between like an open model, and I think we've talked before around the importance of your own knowledge and information you have and combining that with the language model, right? Maybe can you talk a little bit about the importance of that?
Yeah, I mean, keeping things safe for your customer is so important. And the open models are going to bring a wide range of information, for example, from the whole internet.
Yeah, it's everything.
It's everything. Now, we don't know as a company what's out there. And yes, you can put guardrails in place, and you should absolutely put guardrails in place. But actually, the way I would like to do it, and it's one of the reasons why we working so closely with Salesforce, is actually I want to start with my knowledge first and my knowledge only, so I know that what is being summarized or explained to the customer is coming from an approved source, something that we've checked and we know is right, and it's not going to put the customer in any sort of danger. That's really important.
I think you mentioned to me some recipe example.
Oh yeah. Oh no, there was an example. Not in our company, and it was I won't name them. It was another organisation who was providing a recipe service, and the ingredients suggested weren't edible, and that, it's exactly what you don't
It's so
want.
easy to see that example, right?
Yeah.
And that's a good one to show to your.
That's right. Yeah. And I know the technology will get better over time, and those guardrails will become easier to put in place. But while in the early stages, we just need to be really conscious of that.
And that's a good segue. Like, how are you thinking about this for your people, preparing them, making sure that they are empowered, but also doing this in a safe way? They're able to test. Like, how are you approaching this example?
Oh, there are a couple of parts to that question. Firstly, we are explaining the difference between open and closed models to our leaders and to our people. But at the same time, the reality is, outside of the enterprise, people are using these tools already. ChatGPT got to 1 million users in 3 to 5 days, faster than Instagram. So people are using them. We know they're using them. What's really important is making them understand about things like privacy, and that data can be used to train the models. And we've got processes in place to make sure that when we do use these tools, that people understand that the difference between open and closed. That's really important. But at the same time, allowing experimentation, ideas to come forward, because you don't want to stifle the thinking and the innovation, because the great ideas come from the people who are doing the work and interacting with the customer.
And like, who owns this? Are you owning, AI and the data and the governance, or is there a team you're creating? Can you maybe share some examples of how you're thinking of that?
A couple of parts to that answer as well. I'm driving it alongside other executives, and at the moment, the governance around that, we're plugging into our privacy working groups as well. So governance group around AI, making sure that we're using it ethically and safely, and we understand how it's being used. So, we already had great privacy processes already, and we just plugging into that. And a number of executives are on that, and not just executives, senior leaders in our organisation participating in that, so that we can shape that together.
Yeah, I think that the diversity of thought and different functional areas is very, very important.
Yeah, and back to what I said before, I can't see an area that's not going to be using some sort of machine learning and AI in the next few years.
Well, that's a great springboard. I know you like to look to the future. We talked about some examples. Obviously, they're mostly text-based, right? Summarization, things like that. But field service, like that could be multimodal, that could be pictures. Looking a few years out, maybe 2-3 years, and I know it's hard, it's moving very fast. Is there anything you think could be really interesting, or that you're really driving towards as a company?
I think it's the combination of the different AI tools. So text generation, image generation, voice, all together, for workflows, for different experiences with your customers. Think about your website and how customers interact with your website, for example, might be through voice, and then text, and then image generation. I mean, think about what you could...
Especially with products like yours,
That's
right?
right.
So...
But the obvious ones are, how do you make people's jobs better so that they can focus on the things that are important, like the customer, or developing products, or strategy. So that's the real obvious one. And then you've got, well, how's it going to change the way customers interact with us? So right now, we have self-service tools, which are people coming to our websites. But actually, in the future, that's going to be probably a customer's AI agent talking to our AI agent, right? And then coordinating.
People involved.
Yeah, that's right. And that doesn't mean there's no future for people in customer service. Actually, I think it's the opposite. Their role just becomes more important and more different. Becomes about solving.
Differentiator.
Absolutely. And honestly, I think, looking out 3 years. 3 years sounds like a long time, but look at how quickly in 2 or 3 years, the generative AI has moved. Now, I know there's been a lot of work for decades before that. It just looks like it's happened quickly. It hasn't. It has taken a long time. But just look at the pace of innovation in the last 12 months. And someone shared a stat with me that the open source community is doubling the effectiveness of their large language models, something like doubling them every 14 days.
That's insane.
So, in 3 years' time, I don't think we can actually imagine what is going to be possible, because I think we're going to be multiple generations through this this AI journey, and that's why I really encourage everyone to experiment and learn and prototype, because it's gonna change so quickly.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sometimes people look to science fiction movies, like a movie like Her or something, or sometimes those movies look to examples in the real world. So I don't know who's in front at the moment, but it's an exciting time for sure. Look, we have many C-suite leaders on the call that may or may not be doing something right now. What advice would you give to them to how do they get started, how they do it safely, where they should be getting inspiration?
Do something. I mean, it would be my
action.
Yeah, go and prototype stuff. Pick your partners right as well. Make sure that the people that you're working with understand the governance and the security and the privacy requirements. Also be careful about AI turning up into SaaS products that you've got now, and make sure you understand what that means for you and your customer data. That's another really important consideration for C-suites. But don't be afraid of it. We can't just sit and wait, because one day, 3 years' time, you'll wake up and go, what's just happened? And I really encourage people to go and experiment and try, both personally and professionally. If you're not using ChatGPT already, for example, or something like that, go and experiment, go and learn about generating images, learn about prompt engineering and how important it is to give great prompts to these tools as well. And don't be afraid of it, tackle it, be on the front of it.
And do you see this as a platform shift, or as an incremental, you mentioned there, features appearing in products? Yeah. Is this something that people need to get right at the platform layer, or do they need to just make sure they're doing test cases in all the fringes?
I think it's a question of both. I'll tell you why, because you have to think about your platforms, because data is going to fuel what you can do in AI. The way you connect platforms together is going to be really important as well. How you connect your CRM with your commerce, with your marketing, and maybe your downstream systems in manufacturing, whatever it might be. So platforms are important. The connectedness of those platforms is important. The data is the oil, is the saying, the data is the oil that's going to drive that machine. And then at the same time, value can really be derived on the fringes as well. A chatbot, an internal chatbot here, a specialized large language model for a particular use case, maybe predictive models for forecasting, or whatever it might be. It's a combination of both of those things.
Yeah, no, I love that. And what's next for Fisher & Paykel? Is this technology is one part of it? Obviously, there is much more to the business than that. Is there something that's exciting you for the next 12 months and ahead?
Well, like I said, we're going to do plenty of experimentation, and you probably will see different AIs internally and externally that we'll bring to market. But we've also, we love what we do. We build great appliances. We want to be the heart of the home. So you'll continue to see great products from us, and see us bring together software and hardware and do amazing things that way.
Thank you so much, Rudi. I'm looking forward to seeing some of those innovations at my home, in our offices. Thank you for making the time today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Rudi. If you want to catch up on the chats we've had so far with some of the most interesting and valued executives in our ecosystem, visit sfdc.co/conversations. We are covering the ideas and concepts that are top of mind for executives and leaders within business to share, inspire, and help you connect with your customers in a whole new way. So far, we've covered building a unified customer profile in an AI-first world, earning trust with AI, and so much more. Thank you for tuning in to our Executive Conversations. See you next time. And I'm joined by Rudi Khoury, Chief Digital Officer at Fisher Paykel.
Good.
That was correct?
That was good.
Paykel. I was like, no. You know when you tell them the name, it's the wrong one?
No, you got it right.
All right. Oh, looking there. I was looking deep in Rudi's eyes. He's so trained. He was looking back at me. All right.